Hey everyone, it's Kaycienikole, and today we're going to go through a fun little practice where we're going to be using the wall the entire way through. The focus is going to be on opening up the front and the backs of the hips and hamstrings to prepare for a split position, or in this class, a standing split position while utilizing the wall space. You do not have to be able to do splits to practice this. This will help you to continue warming up and preparing the body for that practice. Most of it will be done from a standing position until we get to the very end where our hands will go down either to blocks or to the ground and we come into our standing split variation. Don't push it, don't force. Listen to your body. Let the body and the breath invite you into the postures. I would recommend having 2 blocks available, especially if your hamstrings are tight. You're going to definitely want the blocks. You can probably deal without them if your hamstrings are really open. I like to use them just for added space. So we're going to start with just a little bit of grounding, some breath, and then we'll start moving into some of the postures to work some opening within the body. So let's just start in a nice standing position. Make sure you're near the wall, and if you need to adjust, bring your mat to a wall, you absolutely can. Feet hips width, arms drop down to the sides. Close your eyes here for a moment and just relax tension from your face, from your shoulders, and then feel that nice grounding sensation into your feet. We're going to take just a few breaths here together. The breath is so important for establishing our boundaries within our bodies. Think of the breath as the communication from our bodies. So to establish that connection, let's exhale, let the breath all the way out. Through the nose, breathe into your belly, up into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest and your shoulders. Hold briefly here at the top. And then open up the mouth and exhale, let everything go. Again, slow inhale through the nose, breathe into the belly, into the ribs, and then all the way up into your chest, your shoulders, full expansiveness through the torso. And then just open up the mouth and release. This last one we'll keep through the nose. We'll breathe nice and slow. Inhale from the bottom, mid, all the way up to the top, stretching all the way around, holding just a little bit at the top. And then as we exhale through the nose, slowly empty out through your chest, your ribs, and your belly. And then when you're ready, go ahead and blink open through your eyes. Try to maintain nice full breath as we're moving through these postures. And if you notice that you're holding your breath or it becomes really constricted, then you've probably gone a little too far. Back off until you can find those rhythmic breaths again, okay? So we're going to start off by facing the wall. And to kind of get a good approximation of distance away from the wall, you can just take your foot up and measure your leg's distance away from the wall, okay? So we're going to start by bringing our right foot to the wall. Before we do so, as you're standing, let the toes turn out just a little bit. And that way, we have a solid base with our opposite foot. It feels more stabilized. So weight into your left foot, right foot steps up onto the wall. Now, as you step up, you might only step up a little bit. That's totally fine. Okay, this is all going to be dependent on the opening into your hips as well as into the strength of your hip flexors. You can assist and walk it up a little bit if that's available to you. You could also walk it up higher if the flexibility allows. Okay, so wherever you are in this position, I'm going to take it down lower and that way you can see different perspectives or angles. From here, we're going to start to bend into the knee. And as you bend into the knee, you're going to let your hips start to sink and drive forward and down towards the wall. So my left hip flexors are pressing towards the wall and sinking in until I feel that nice stretch across the front of the left hip. And then I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit and rebend. You don't have to fully straighten. We're just coming out of the stretch and back in a more dynamic manner. We're moving in and out, using the breath. If the foot's up higher, same thing. You might not be moving quite as much depending on the space that your body allows. Now, after you've kind of eased in and out a few times here, We're going to stay with our hips sinking in. And as the hips sink in, your hands can rest at the knee. Your hands can come to the wall, whatever you choose. Now, right now, we're isolating the stretch mostly into the front of the hip on that left side. If you want to add a little extra opening across the front of the body, begin to lift your chest up towards the ceiling. You can even lift your focal point up and feel the opening of your ribs, your chest. Give yourself a few breaths wherever you are. You can even make it more upper body by opening up the arms. Okay, the focus is more lower body today, but if that feels good for you, you take it. Let's take one more breath. All right, now we're going to pull the hips back until we can straighten out that front leg as much as we can. It's okay if the leg doesn't fully straighten. If you need to lower it down a little bit, sometimes that can help, okay? If the leg doesn't fully straighten, no worries. Do what you can. Straighten as much as you're able. Once you find that here, press your foot into the wall, activate, press your foot down into the ground. If you need to adjust by stepping back a little bit, and then finding that space again. Sometimes if the back foot separates farther from the wall, it might feel better or it might feel more intense. It's up to you to play with those thresholds and see where your body wants to be. So once you have a nice straightened leg, hands can rest at the leg if you'd like, lifting your spine up nice and tall. Now, as you activate into your quadricep, if the leg is straight, you're going to kind of feel it lock into place here. That's okay. If the knee is bent, that's also okay. But I want you to try to activate the muscles of the leg pressing into the wall. Lift your spine, take a breath in. You might already feel enough right here, and that's perfectly fine if so. Otherwise, exhale, you're going to hinge over the leg, draping over. The hands can walk down the leg. They can come to the wall if that feels available to you. Notice the tendency to just curl the back. Try to extend your chest away from the hip line. Imagine your chest is going to follow your focal point. So if you're looking down, you're going to curl down. If you're looking forward, your chest will draw forward, which is going to create more extension. Exactly what we're looking for here. Give yourself a few more breaths. Now, as you lift your spine back upright, the foot that's on the ground right now is kind of a 45-degree angle. We're going to try to open it up a little bit more to the side of the mat. If you need to adjust it, adjust it. If you need to come out and come back in, you absolutely can. So now my left toes are turned to the side of the mat. My right leg is still out to the right. But you'll notice as you do this, you start to open up a little bit more across the front of the hip and into the groin, which is also going to help loosen everything up in there. So from here, we're going to first start by framing over the right leg, folding over for just a slightly different sensation. With that left hip opening, you're going to draw a little bit more, not only through the hamstrings, but also tying a little bit into the inner hip and groin. We won't spend too much time here. One more breath. Okay. Now, as you inhale and come back up, we're going to turn the chest away from the leg. So now your chest is pointing in the same direction as your left foot and toes. Okay, your hands can rest at your hips. They can rest at your leg, whatever feels best for balance and stability. Lift your spine. And then as you exhale, you're just going to hinge at your hips as though you're doing a forward fold over your left leg. And then come back up. Okay, now, your right foot probably wanted to adjust a little bit. If it feels good, play with the angle. You can tilt the toes in a little bit, or you can go fully parallel so that that big toe edge of your foot, the instep of your foot is parallel with the ground. It's entirely up to you. Play with the angle of the foot. See what feels best in your body. Spine up tall, take a breath in. Exhale, hinge at the hips about halfway or all the way. Inhale, bring it all the way back up. Exhale, hinge it down. Inhale it back up. We're going to do that one more round. Exhale, hinge it over. Inhale, bring it up. Nice. Now from here, we're going to pivot it back in. push away from the wall, and then step it down. Shake out your legs here. You're going to notice a pretty significant difference between right side and your left side. So as you stand, maybe find little movements, feel the tightness in that left side, especially after we spent that time opening up through the right. So now we're going to bring some balance back in. All right, so starting with your feet, about hips width apart, toes slightly turned away. And then left foot is going to step up, okay? If you don't have the right distance, find that right distance for yourself. Adjust accordingly. Walk in, walk out, whatever you need to. The hips are still squared towards the wall. Nice bend into the left knee. We're going to start with those dynamic movements. So with the hips squared, feel the bend into your left knee as your hips start to drive forward towards the wall. And then press and come back out. Exhale, sink in. Inhale, back it out. And just continue here a few more rounds. Hands can rest wherever they're comfortable. Okay. On your next round, let your hips sink forward and down, melting in. You might want to just stay here. Maybe you start to lift your focal point, open up your ribs, open up your chest. Once again, if you want to add the heart opening, you can always open up your arms, little cactus shape, or maybe even holding onto the front knee, whatever you prefer. Give yourself a few breaths in this position. Now we're going to straighten out that front leg as much as you're able. Adjust it. Maybe adjust your bottom foot. Still squaring the hips here. Now with your leg as straight as you can get it, press your feet. Press foot into the wall and foot down into the ground and try to activate the muscles on that left leg. Spine up nice and tall. And as you activate, this might be right where you want to stay. Otherwise, lifting on the inhale. Hinge at the hips as you exhale, draw forward. Imagine your sit bones are slightly angling back. And as they slightly angle back, the chest is drawing forward and the focal point is drawing forward. Feeling that nice opening into your hamstrings, all across the backside of your body. Give yourself a few breaths here. One more. Then inhale, slowly lift your spine up. You're going to take your bottom foot, pivot it towards the side. So now my right toes are pointing to the side of the mat. My left foot is still at the wall, opening here. We're going to turn our chest towards the leg that's at the wall. And then lift the spine, breath in. And exhale, just hinge over that left leg as much as you can. Once again, we're just going to be here for a couple breaths, especially after doing those hamstring stretches. We don't need too much on this side, just enough to slowly start to open up through the inner hip and groin. All right, let's go ahead and come all the way back up. Inhale and turn your body away from the wall. Automatically, you're going to start to feel that inner hip opening a lot, okay? We're going to start first by keeping the foot placement exactly as it is, and that way we kind of feel into our bodies. Hands at the hips, hands resting anywhere that's comfortable. Just give a little hinge forward at the hips and just notice how that feels, okay? Maybe make a little micro adjustment, toes tilt a little bit, or maybe bring that entire edge of the foot parallel with the ground. Option is yours. Okay, try to keep it level with your left hip, and that way it doesn't kick up too much. Lift your spine, breath in. Chest is pointing towards the side of the mat. And exhale, hinging forward over the right leg, fold. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, fold. Inhale it up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bring it up. Little bend, pivot, and press away from the wall. Shake out your legs, and we should feel a lot more balanced and open through both sides. Okay, so now we're going to move into the standing split variations. The blocks can be extremely helpful on this one. I'm going to show you quickly. That way you know different ways that you can get into this position, and then we'll do it together. So if your hamstrings are fairly tight, we're going to start in a downward dog. Once again, I'll show you first. I am going to advise to bring the heels close to the wall. Now with the heels close to the wall, we're going to lift a leg up and try to straighten it out and rest the foot at the wall, toenail side on the wall. Okay, if being able to come into this position is not doable while keeping the legs straight, then you're going to want a little bit more space. Walk away from the wall a little bit. Then when you lift and do the same thing, there's a little more space. Okay, if you're having trouble from here, you can also take hands up onto the blocks, right underneath your hands, and come into it here. We're going to focus on pressing our hips in the direction of the wall, okay? Now, as you do that, you can always walk your hands in closer, but you don't have to do a full forward fold over that front leg. Your hands can be more forward like downward dog, which is going to be the variation I take. What's going to be more important is the hips pressing in the direction of the wall with the legs nice and straight, okay? So go ahead and get yourself set up here. Maybe use your blocks. Once again, I like the blocks. Come into a downward dog. Maybe you start with your heels near the wall. If you know you want more space, you can walk a little bit away from the wall. Perfectly fine. If you're not sure, you can test it out. Now, from wherever you are, lift your right leg up the wall, toenail side to the wall. If that's too much, walk away, try it again. Once the right leg goes up the wall, keep the hips squared. Don't let that top leg open out to the side. Keep the toenail side down. Maybe walk the hands in a little closer. You're going to press the hips in the direction of the wall, letting that top foot slide up the wall. And just feel it out here. Once you find your edge, give yourself about, let's take 5 slow breaths. If you need to come out sooner, that's perfectly okay. Remember, the breath is the language of the body. If you've stopped breathing, you've gone too far. Slowly pull the hips away from the wall. Let the top foot slide down until you can bend the knee. Bring the foot down to the ground. Shake out your legs a little bit. Once again, just observe the differences between your sides. Okay, once you're done, we're going to keep the right foot down. And then we're going to lift the left leg up the wall. One side's going to feel different than the other side. Okay, technically it's the hamstrings on your right side and the hip flexors on your left as we come into this one. When we did the first one, it was the opposite. So hips squared, toenail side down, adjust as you need to, and then start to press the hips into the wall. Let that top leg slide up. Breathing here. 5 slow breaths. One more breath here. And then start to pull yourself away from the wall until you can slide the foot down, shake it out. Soft bend into the knees as you roll your spine all the way back up. Shake out those legs. Whew. All right. Let's join the hands together at the heart. Close your eyes here for a moment. Exhale, let your breath out. Take a deep breath in from the bottom to the top. And then just open up the mouth and let it go. Thank your bodies for all that they do for you. And thank you so much for allowing me to guide you today. Open up your eyes when you're ready. So this was just a quick practice, something to leave you feeling more open, ready. And this is also great preparation if you are working on splits on the ground. This is great work to continue doing to work yourself into those positions. There's a lot of different ways of doing the same thing, and this is one of those ways. So I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments. Share it with someone else you think may enjoy, and I'm looking forward to practicing with y'all next time. Thank you.